The Asian Civilisations Museum has embarked on a season of Chinese art as part of its commitment to examine the diverse cultural heritage of Singapore. 29 iconic embroidered dresses designed by one of China's most well-known couturiers, Guo Pei, are on display right now. And here to share more, we're joined by Kennie Ting, director at the Asian Civilization Museum. Kennie, thanks for coming in. So, Guo Pei is one of China's most well-known haute couture fashion designers. Tell us, what was it like working with her?
First of all, thank you for having me, Glenda. Guo Pei, it was such a delight to work with her. I think one of the most surprising things that I discovered about her was how even though she's in the space of creating cutting-edge fashion, she was very much someone who emphasized tradition and heritage. In fact, that was what we had in common. We believed that the job of reviving, reinterpreting, translating heritage for today and tomorrow is the most exciting and the most challenging job for anyone today. We also had a common love for flowers.
Flowers?
Yes, we absolutely love flowers because we believe that flowers represent life, color, and vibrancy, and we need more of that.
Okay. Well, what were some of your favorites then, it's on display right now?
My favorite dress is, of course, the piece called Palace Flower, Gonghua, because it's simply a profusion of flowers, specifically the peony, which is the queen of all flowers. And an interesting story about this piece is that in the front of the dress, you have these historic palace flowers that used to adorn the headgear of the princesses and court ladies in the Forbidden City. And the tradition of making these flowers is dead. And so what Guo Pei did was she tried to find who else had these flowers. And so these are perhaps the collection of the last flowers of their kind anywhere in the world.
Oh, okay. But then, we also know that part of the exhibition, that there are two which were directly inspired by artworks in the Asian Civilization Museum collection. Can you tell us more about that?
It was such a wonderful story. So in 2015, the Chinese celebrity Angela Baby got married in one of Guo Pei's bridal gowns. And we looked at the photograph and thought, this looks very familiar. And we basically just asked Guo Pei out of the blue, did you see our 1930s Peranakan wedding dress in our collection? And she said, yes, she did. She had seen our exhibition on wedding dresses in the Musée du Quai Branly in Paris in 2010. And she also told us she made not only one, but two pieces based on what she had seen from our collection. And so I told our curator we are going down to Beijing right now, and we're going to work on an exhibition with her. And those two pieces are the pieces you see when you first step into the show.
Okay, so what was it that was so familiar? What was the eye-catching thing that, you could tell that, hey, hang on one second, this looks very familiar. What was it?
The goldfish. It's very rare and interesting to have goldfish embroidered onto a wedding dress. And the key thing about this particular dress was it had a profusion of goldfish, and it was mandarin colored, not red as typical Chinese wedding dresses would be. So her wedding gown, the gown that Angela Baby wore, was mandarin colored, which was already very rare. And it still had these goldfish. So the configuration of the gown reminded us perfectly of the piece that we had in our collection.
Okay, so when we walk in, we'll be able to see it.
Yes, immediately.
So what parallels do you then see between Guo Pei's hybrid designs and Chinese export art?
Well, Chinese export art essentially is an art form where the core of the works of art, the traditions, the material is Chinese, but the form is foreign, specifically European. And so we have a very strong collection of these pieces that have been exported for more than 1,000 years, where the craftsmanship is Chinese, but the form is European. And of course, Guo Pei's pieces are the contemporary interpretation of these, because her techniques are drawn from Chinese imperial embroidery, but the silhouettes of the gowns are primarily European.
Right, okay, and then Guo Pei's first exhibition in Southeast Asia, this is her first. What kind of a role does fashion and couture actually play in museums today? Does it have a role in museums today?
I'll be very frank with you, Glenda. The key role it plays is it brings new audiences to the museum.
Okay.
Already we're seeing a very, very interesting mix of new audiences, a much younger crowd coming in, dating couples, people who are very fashionably dressed. It adds a dash of romance to the museum.
Okay, so, indeed, you're going to have another, walk-in. I'm going to walk in. I'm going to take a look at it. I haven't seen it yet. But thank you so much for coming in and speaking to us. Kennie Ting, director at the Asian Civilisations Museum. And if you are interested as well by taking a look at Guo Pei's masterpieces, they're going to be on display at the museum till the 15th of September.